Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into one of the most shocking developments in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Reports are emerging that Ukraine has successfully targeted and sunk a Russian ship worth over $500 million, a vessel believed to be transporting Iranian Shahed drones to bolster Moscow's weakening strike capabilities. This was no ordinary hit. It was a strategic, surgical strike that has once again left the Kremlin scrambling for answers and exposed a massive flaw in Russia's military logistics at sea. For months, intelligence reports had hinted at increased cooperation between Russia and Iran, especially in the field of drone technology. Iran's Shahed 136 drones have become one of Russia's main tools in striking Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. Cheap, mass-produced, and deadly, these drones have terrorized civilians and military alike. But behind every successful drone launch lies a long and fragile supply chain, one that Ukraine has now proven it can disrupt with devastating precision. The sinking of this vessel has dealt not just a material loss, but a psychological one as well. According to Ukrainian sources, this operation was planned meticulously. The target, a logistics vessel believed to be carrying a large shipment of Iranian Shahed drones and related components, was reportedly docked near a Crimean port before setting sail towards a Russian naval base in the Black Sea. Ukrainian intelligence had been tracking it for days, possibly weeks, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. When the ship finally departed, Ukrainian forces acted swiftly. A volley of long-range naval drones and precision missiles were launched, closing in on the ship before Russian defenses even realized what was happening. Within minutes, the massive explosion tore through the vessel, igniting a fireball that lit up the night sky. Satellite images later confirmed the strike. The once proud logistics ship, valued at around $500 million, was gone, sinking beneath the waves with its entire cargo of Iranian drones and equipment. For Ukraine, this was more than just a tactical win, it was a message. A message that even in Russia's supposed stronghold at the Black Sea, Ukraine's reach is growing. Each new strike is pushing the boundaries of what Kyiv can accomplish with ingenuity, intelligence, and precision weaponry. In recent months, Ukraine has demonstrated remarkable creativity in naval warfare. Using domestically developed sea drones and modified Western equipment, it has managed to repeatedly strike Russian warships, oil terminals, and logistical hubs. But this attack stands out because it directly targeted the backbone of Russia's drone warfare strategy. For months, Ukrainian cities like Kyiv, Odessa, and Kharkiv have endured waves of Shahed drones, often launched from occupied Crimea or southern Russia. These drones, although relatively cheap, have caused significant destruction. Ukraine's counterattack on this drone supply ship effectively strikes at the source, preventing hundreds of future attacks before they could even take place. What's fascinating is how Ukraine continues to innovate under pressure. With limited resources compared to Russia's massive military budget, Ukraine has turned to asymmetric warfare using drones, small strike teams, and intelligence from Western partners to neutralize much larger threats. The sinking of this $500 million ship wasn't just luck, it was the result of months of planning, surveillance, and coordination. Analysts believe that NATO reconnaissance assets may have provided early tracking information, helping Ukrainian forces pinpoint the ship's exact location and timing. The Kremlin's response has been predictably furious. Russian state media initially denied the loss, claiming that only minor damage occurred after a failed Ukrainian attack. But satellite imagery and videos shared by independent sources told a different story. The fireball, the debris field, and the oil slick on the sea's surface left little room for doubt. Eventually, Russian officials were forced to admit that one of their auxiliary support vessels had been damaged beyond repair. What they didn't say was that it carried one of the most important drone shipments Russia had received in months. For Moscow, this loss hits on multiple levels. First, financially, a $500 million logistics ship is no small asset, especially amid ongoing sanctions and a strained defense budget. Second, Strategically, the reliance on Iranian drones had already raised eyebrows internationally. Now, with Ukraine actively intercepting and destroying shipments, Russia's dependency on Tehran becomes an even bigger liability. And third, psychologically, every time Ukraine strikes deep into Russian territory or sinks one of its vessels, it chips away at the illusion of control that the Kremlin tries so hard to maintain. Meanwhile, Iran finds itself in an awkward position. The cooperation between Tehran and Moscow has drawn widespread criticism, especially as evidence grows that Iran is providing drones, missile components, and even technical advisors to Russia. With this recent incident, the exposure is even more glaring. Ukrainian and Western officials are already demanding new sanctions targeting Iran's drone export network. For Tehran, which has been trying to balance regional ambitions with international negotiations, this kind of publicity is the last thing it wants. Yet the evidence is undeniable. Back in Ukraine, the mood is triumphant. The sinking of this ship is being hailed as a major victory, a clear example of Ukrainian resilience and adaptability. Footage of the burning vessel has gone viral on social media, with Ukrainians celebrating another blow against the invaders. Officials from Kyiv have remained relatively quiet about the exact details, maintaining operational secrecy. But military analysts have been quick to label it as one of the most significant maritime strikes since the sinking of Russia's Moskva cruiser in 2022. That attack was a turning point, and this one could prove just as impactful. As the war continues, Ukraine's growing mastery of drone and missile warfare has redefined modern conflict. Each operation reveals new capabilities, from long-range drone swarms to advanced naval strike drones capable of navigating rough seas and evading radar. The combination of intelligence, precision, and timing has made Ukraine a formidable force despite its smaller size. The sinking of Russia's $500 million drone ship demonstrates that even without a traditional navy, Ukraine can dominate the Black Sea battlefield through ingenuity alone. Military experts have started calling this the drone war within a war. Both sides now rely heavily on unmanned systems, but Ukraine's ability to disrupt Russia's supply chain gives it a clear edge. Instead of reacting defensively, Kyiv has taken the fight to the source, striking where it hurts the most, in logistics, infrastructure, and supply lines. Every drone that never reaches Russia's front lines is a life potentially saved in Ukraine. This operation also reflects a broader shift in Ukraine's strategy. Rather than focusing solely on land battles, Kyiv is expanding its reach into naval and strategic operations. The Black Sea, once dominated by Russia's fleet, is slowly becoming a contested zone where Ukrainian strikes are routine. From Sevastopol to Novorossiysk, Russian naval assets now face constant threats. And this recent strike reinforces the message: nowhere is safe for Russian military equipment. Another dimension to this story is Russia's overconfidence. Despite repeated losses at sea, Moscow continues to underestimate Ukraine's reach and capability. Each time Ukraine strikes, the Russian military seems caught off guard. This pattern of surprise attacks highlights major flaws in Russia's intelligence and defensive systems. It also exposes internal confusion, conflicting reports, delayed responses, and an apparent inability to adapt to Ukraine's evolving tactics. The irony is that Russia, once known for its naval might, now finds its fleet being hunted by a nation that barely had a navy at the start of the war. Western analysts have praised Ukraine's precision and efficiency. They point out that the operation likely cost a fraction of what Russia lost. For the price of a few drones and missiles, Ukraine managed to sink a ship valued at $500 million and neutralize a shipment that could have fueled months of attacks. This asymmetry, where smaller, cheaper tools can destroy massive, expensive assets, defines the new age of warfare. It's not just about who has more weapons anymore, it's about who uses them smarter. The psychological impact of this strike cannot be overstated. For Russian sailors and commanders, the fear of invisible threats lurking beneath the sea is growing. Each night, As ships move through the Black Sea, they must wonder if a silent drone is already tracking them. This constant pressure erodes morale and forces Russia to divert resources into defense rather than offense. That, in turn, slows their operations and limits their ability to sustain long-term offensives. For Ukraine, this strike is part of a larger message that persistence and innovation can overcome even the most powerful enemies. Every new success boosts international support, increases morale, and strengthens the argument for more Western aid. As Ukraine continues to demonstrate its ability to strike effectively, allies are more confident in supplying advanced technologies, knowing they'll be used to maximum effect. In Moscow, however, this incident adds another layer of embarrassment. The Kremlin has long portrayed the war as under control, often minimizing losses and exaggerating successes. But as footage circulates online showing burning wreckage and sinking ships, that narrative becomes harder to maintain. Even loyal Russian media personalities are finding it difficult to spin this disaster. Some have started questioning why such a valuable shipment was so vulnerable in the first place, and why Russia's naval defenses failed yet again. Meanwhile, Iran's involvement deepens the geopolitical complexity of the conflict. With Ukraine openly accusing Iran of supplying deadly drones to Russia, Western nations may move to increase sanctions and isolation efforts against Tehran. This could have ripple effects across the Middle East, affecting Iran's relationships with key countries and its own military-industrial strategy. For Ukraine, exposing and disrupting these connections adds another layer of victory, not just on the battlefield, but in the global arena. As the news spreads, international reactions have been swift. Western officials have praised Ukraine's boldness, calling it a strategic masterstroke. Analysts from NATO countries have emphasized how such strikes demonstrate the effectiveness of precision warfare in modern conflicts. They argue that Ukraine's adaptability using inexpensive but advanced drone systems is setting a new standard for future wars. Inside Ukraine, this success has become a rallying point. Citizens see it as proof that no matter how strong Russia appears, its weaknesses can always be exposed. The sense of empowerment and unity this generates is invaluable. It shows the world that even against overwhelming odds, Ukraine continues to stand firm, strike back, and innovate under fire. The Black Sea, once considered a Russian stronghold, is quickly turning into a symbol of resistance. Each successful strike adds to Ukraine's growing reputation as a nation capable of rewriting the rules of modern warfare. The sinking of the $500 million drone ship isn't just another military win, it's a symbol of courage, intelligence, and unwavering determination. In the grand scope of history, this event might one day be seen as a defining moment in the war. Not because of the ship's price tag, but because of what it represents, the moment Ukraine proved that innovation can defeat intimidation. The message is clear: even the mightiest fleets can fall when faced with precision, persistence, and purpose. As Ukraine celebrates and Russia recalibrates, one truth stands above all: the tides of this war are shifting. Each new strike erodes Russia's advantage and amplifies Ukraine's resolve. The sinking of the Iranian drone ship is not the end of the story, it's the beginning of a new chapter where control of the Black Sea is once again up for grabs. And so, the world watches. One by one, Ukraine dismantles the myth of Russian invincibility, showing that no matter how large the enemy, smart strategy and bravery can turn the tide. This latest strike sends a clear message from Kyiv to Moscow, and it's loud enough to be heard across the globe.